Today, I'm going to be talking about Epictetus and specifically a chapter from his book Discourses. And I'm currently reading the Robin Waterfield translation, and it's the Epictetus, the complete works. So it has more than just discourses in it, but Discourses is essentially 4 books of dialogue going back and forth between Epictetus and his class because Epictetus never wrote any works. All we have from him is this student writing down teachings and conversations Epictetus was having in class. So that's all we have from him. So it's written as such, where it's um, basically just dialogue going back and forth, like talking, like you're having an open debate with a classroom. Um, but yeah, I've also read this edition of Discourses, the Penguin's Classic translation. And to be honest, I've bounced back some of the things in here with this translation, and I like this translation better so far, but I think this one is still very good. And you get a little bit more. You get the handbook at the start of this one, which is just the handbook for living in Epictetus's eyes. At least that's how I interpreted it. And yeah, that's basically all you get extra in this one, and then the translation is different. But I personally like this translation better, and the cover. But I mean, that doesn't matter. And then, yeah, just a little bit about Epictetus. He was a slave, a Roman slave, for about 30 years. And back in the day in Rome, once slaves were able to, work off being a slave, and after 30 or so years, they didn't have to be a slave anymore. Sometimes, and Epictetus had one of those circumstances, and he was born a slave, and he comes from he takes a very interesting perspective on slavery as a young age, it seems like, because his leg was shattered, broken to pieces by his master at a very young age, and he took that as not harming him because it did not hurt his character, did not touch his soul. All it did was touch his external body, his corpse, which did not hinder his ability to focus on things in his control, focus on his will, all those things. So from a very young age, he took very interesting perspectives on life. And then, as he was a slave, this man, Musonius Rufus, who has a book that one should disdain hardships, that I've done a book review on the channel. I highly recommend you check it out. I thought it was a very good video and hit a lot of good points in this book. And Musonius Rufus was actually Epictetus's philosophy teacher while he was a slave. And that was not normal at that time because slaves obviously weren't supposed to be studying philosophy. I mean, I guess not obviously, but Musonius Rufus allowed slaves and women to study philosophy in his classroom. So Epictetus had the chance to study it from a Stoic philosopher while he was a slave, and that kind of just sparked the light in him for pursuing philosophy. And yeah, he got his freedom from being a slave, became a philosophy teacher, and the rest is history. But that's basically just a little background on Epictetus before we get into this. I'm going to be reading. I'm obviously not going to read word for word this whole thing, but I'm kind of just going to hit some points that I think are very valuable and portray very good lessons in this chapter. So yeah, I'm going to be doing book 1 in Discourses, chapter 28, that we ought not to get angry with people and what is trivial or important in human life. So, first off, he says, so whenever someone assents to a falsehood, you can be sure that is not the falsehood to which he wished to assent, for no soul, as Plato says, is willingly deprived of the truth, but that he judged something false to be true. So right off in this, he is saying that no one is wrong on purpose. They'd mistakenly judge something to be something false to be true. And no soul is willingly deprived of the truth. They don't mean to be wrong. They're just ignorant. You shouldn't be mad at these people, he says. You should pity them. You should not get angry and put wrath on them, and you should pity them because No soul is willingly deprived of the truth. Epictetus says this, but it comes from Plato. Plato says this, which I think is very powerful, and it can help you a lot with dealing with frustrating people, because in their eyes, I truly believe they think they are right. Their actions are justified, and whatever has happened to them leading up in life to this moment in this circumstance, they are making the complete right decisions in their eyes. What about the woman who says, I recognize that what I plan to do is evil, but I'm ruled by anger? He says that's just the point. She thinks it's more advantageous for her to gratify her anger and punish her husband than to keep her children safe. Yes, but she's wrong. Make her fully aware of her mistakes, and she won't act on it. But until you point it out to her, what can guide her except her impressions of what's best for her? Nothing. So she's has an impression that what she is doing is best. She's satisfying her anger. Obviously, this isn't what is best, but she believes it is best to satisfy this urge, this anger, this feeling she is having. She believes her feelings are justified. And you cannot fault her. All you can do is try to show her where she is wrong. So why are you angry with her? The poor thing has gone astray in matters of supreme importance and has changed into a viper instead of a human being. These are supreme importances. You should want to help these people out, because that is a supreme importance, a misperception. And you should really want to help them out, and you should not just be angry with them and be disrespectful to them without trying to show them the way and teach them that what they're doing is wrong. Doesn't she more deserve pity than, if that's the case? Just as we pity the blind and the lame, shouldn't we pity those who have been blind and crippled where matters of supreme importance are concerned? He says, you pity people who are blind, who can't see, but you won't pity this person who can't see. It's a different type of seeing, but they're both, in Epictetus's eyes, are not willingly blind. No soul is deprived of the truth, Plato says, and they are not blind because they want to be. They are blind because that's how they are. And it's up to you to show them or pity them. So whoever bears clearly in mind that every action anyone takes is determined by an impression, and impressions, moreover, may be right or wrong. Any action anyone takes throughout the day is just an impression. Someone cuts you off in traffic, they had an impression that, maybe they're in a rush, they're running late, and they think they can make the turn, so they cut you off. Maybe they were wrong, but they thought they had time. They're in a rush. They thought it was worth taking the risk. And you're just over there minding your own business, driving normally, and then that happens and you start freaking out. Start getting all mad, start getting all riled up, flipping them off, honking. What does that do you? Does that help in any way? They thought, from everything that's happened to them throughout the day, that was something that was worth doing. And can't be mad at them for that. They acted what they thought was good. He says, it's impossible to think an action personally advantageous, but still choose not to do it. It's impossible to think an action is advantage, but still choose not to do it. So take pity on those people and show them where they're wrong if you can. And if you can't, then you got to accept it because it's outside of your control. Since there's no way in which one person makes a mistake and another is harmed by it, such a person won't get angry with anyone, won't be irritated by anyone, won't curse anyone, won't blame anyone, won't hate anyone, and won't be offended by anyone. So if you can understand that no one is wrong on purpose, no one can offend you, no one can make you mad, no one can irritate you, because in their eyes, their actions are justified and what they're doing is right. And if you can just take that outlook on people and the actions they take every day, because every action is an impression, then I believe it'll be a lot easier for you to get through life day to day. So even great and fearful deeds stem from impressions. Absolutely. Are you saying that two cases are similar? They're identical. And he's in that sense he's talking about killing a large number of cows or sheep, or setting a fire to demolishing numerous swallows or storm's nests is the same as war. Human war is the same as killing a large number of cows. Saying these are the same things. And it's all just impressions because it's all out of your control. He failed when he lost his self-respect, his trustworthiness, his respect for the laws of hospitality, his decency. He failed because these were things inside of his control. When things happen, you have to see that they're all impressions. But, say you steal from a store, the getting chased by the cops or that's not the wrong. The wrong is when you decided to steal. The wrong is not someone who decided that it was worth calling the cops because you stole. The wrong starts way before that, and it happens with you when you decide that it's okay to steal, or it's okay to lie, or it's okay to be untrustworthy. That is where the wrong is, because it is in your control. That is something that is your will. You are able to tell the truth always. You are able to be trustworthy. You are able to have self-respect. All these things are within your control. No one can take them from you. So what kind of person pays no attention to this matter, do you think? What do we call people whose behavior is guided by every passing impression? Insane. Is our behavior different then? I like how he ends this off because it's essentially just saying you cannot trust every single impression that goes by. Like every single emotion that goes by, you can't just hop on it and ride it off the waterfall. You have to look at it at a distance and deal with that emotion and understand if this is advantage to you to acting upon it, because it's not always going to be. And sometimes if you just take a second to clearly think about it, you'll understand how stupid it would be to take action on that. So you can't just do things at every single whim of an emotion. You have to clearly look at it, and clearly you have to get your impressions straight. It's all about impressions, Epictetus would say. And that does it for that book and that chapter. I skipped around a lot, and I highly recommend you get this book and read that chapter on your own and read the whole book because it's very good. If you really just want to read discourses, I recommend you get the Penguins Classic edition. But if you want if you want the handbook, which is kind of like 30 to 40 pages of little lessons and stuff, I think it's very good. And that's the first time I've ever read it, and I did really enjoy it. But I do so far like this translation better, but it's kind of up to you. But yeah, I hope you all enjoyed this video, and hope you take your impressions into account and understand that when someone wrongs you, they believe they're in the right. And you should pity these people. You should not be mad at them. I hope y'all enjoyed. Peace.